which is what we call the How Come segment, which is how Jack's going to frame what's been on his mind here that he's been pondering for the last week or so. And he may have more than one, but usually he starts with one, and we'll try to relate it to the small business world about how come this or how come that. So if you want to share a how come question of your own, you're more than welcome to do that. And our number here in the studio is 440-946-9468. That's 440-946-WINT. We're here every Monday from noon to 1 Eastern. So if you're not listening to us live and you're listening on the podcast, you can call us here on Mondays from noon to 1 Eastern, and we can be happy to hear your how come question. But for today, we're going to listen to Jack's how come question.
That's right. And I got a couple of them today. And the first one, and this comes from talking to some very good friends of ours who are real tennis, not pros, but almost. They're very, very competitive. They play well. So I'm thinking of tennis balls.
Okay.
And all of a sudden I was watching a little bit of tennis on TV. And the question came up. All right, and here is the question. How come there's green fuzz on a tennis ball? How many people know that?
As opposed to what?
So what? No
opposed
fuzz.
to what? Opposed to no fuzz at all?
No fuzz on it. How come they have fuzz? Why isn't it just the ball? So according to this official document that I read, fuzz on a tennis ball isn't for fun. It's functional. Tennis balls are made of bouncy rubber, and the felt covering helps make them softer, slow their speed in the air, and regulate their bounce. It gives a lot more surface for spin, which is a big deal in tennis.
All right.
So that's why there's fuzz on a tennis ball. So I kept thinking more on that too. And there was a big football scandal here a couple of years ago with Deflate Gate. So could somebody create a scandal? Maybe it's going on. How do they check the fuzz? What if you shaved a couple of tennis balls and put them into play, and that played into your strong serve? I don't know. There could be issues like that. Just thinking, just pondering.
So Fuzz Gate?
Sort of a Fuzz Gate. A Fuzz Gate for tennis balls that could be challenged. The winner of a big tournament could be challenged for shaving tennis balls. How do they control that? I don't know. It wasn't that big of a ponder, but it was a ponder.
Okay.
Okay, what's the other one that I'm talking about, or was pondering over the weekend? How come most of us do way more talking than listening? Why is that the case? And that's true for almost everybody, me included, and I like to consider myself a good listener. And you included, Adam. You're a very good listener. But I still think we do more talking than we do listening. And why is that?
That's a great question. I've had that discussion with my 10-year-old all the time as I explained to her, as well as our 5th grade basketball team, that you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. The idea is to try to do them, so you try to do it in proportion. So twice as much listening as you do talking.
But it kind of goes in one ear and
I
out
know.
the other.
They look at me like I got 3 heads, Jack.
Around.
Right. Crazy old man that I am. That's what happens.
So, we could probably solve the country's problems if we listened more. I mean, not really that close, but something that's certainly the big divide that we're experiencing right now in politics and culture. If people tended to listen more and weren't so anxious to quickly talk and continue talking, I think answers might be forthcoming.
Well, is that taught anywhere? How to listen? I mean, you hear different terms about things like active listening and that, but the whole idea of just listening, is that taught anywhere?
I don't know.
Or versus being learned?
Like in schools, in terms of classes, I don't know.
They tell you to pay attention, don't they? Is that the same thing as listening? Or is that something different?
Yeah.
And they say, listen up. So they smack in the back of the head, but they don't do that anymore.
That's all.
They
might in real private places, but yeah, public places you don't do that. There'll be 6 people not listening who are getting their point across and charging the Bastille here. It's just Bastille's. Well, I won't get into that.
All right.
Okay. So I found, as I searched through my ponderings here, I found a lady. Her name is Minda Zetlin, and this is an article in Inc. magazine. And she wrote this article, and it's titled 7 Smart Reasons You Should Talk Less and Listen More. I thought it was pretty good. Plus, there's a picture of a dog on the article.
Guaranteed to be good then.
He's listening more. He's got his paw behind his ear, and he's listening and shutting up.
I'm sure it's an actual photo too. It probably isn't photoshopped at all. It sounds good.
No, not at all. I think that's a. Okay, so first one of those 7 points, and I'm only going to read 6 of them, maybe, depending on if this seems to be rolling here. Okay, knowledge is power. So, information drives the world, she said. The person who's talking is giving away information, often more than he or she intended. A person who's listening is receiving information. So, given that, who do you think gets the best deal out of that situation? Well, the person listening. So, knowledge is power, and when you're listening, especially, and I'll touch on this again, especially when you pause, so many people feel totally intimidated. If you're in a conversation, even with a good friend, and there's a pause because there's so much talking going on, all of a sudden the person who isn't aware of the power of a pause will feel the need to fill that vacuum and start talking. So by being quiet and selective, you basically are creating a power that otherwise would not be there if you're talking over that rather than listening. I thought that was pretty interesting and very true.
So wait, like a pregnant pause?
A pregnant pause, yeah.
As opposed to a non-pregnant pause? I never quite understood that phrase, pregnant pause. Is it because it's uncomfortable? Is that what they're trying to say?
You know, unless you're aware of it. We went to a 6-month course taught by this PhD in Connecticut. That's where she lived, and teaching us how to conduct group sessions on the phone. This is a 6-month program. And one of the key takeaways that I took, and you experienced it, we used to have to run the group. There were 8 people in the class, and we get online or on the phone every Wednesday, and she'd instruct, and on every Friday we get on the phone, and one of us would be in charge of running the group with the subject. And we would take the instruction from the prior day and try to put it into the program that we're using to lead the group. And one of the things that I took away was pause. So here you are trying to conduct a group session, and all of a sudden the conversation stops, and there's a pause. And that pause, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, seem like a lifetime. And if you aren't aware of that, and now that we are aware of that, I use that many, many times through the years, to let people feel the pressure of having to say something. Silence can be very intimidating. And I think that's one of the issues here that she's trying to get to with knowledge is power.
Okay, that's a good technique.
Now, number 2, you won't reveal anything you'll later regret. So if you aren't doing all the yapping and you're doing the listening, you aren't going to say something that you shouldn't say, where that other person might. They put themselves into a hole, and how many times have you revealed something that you later wished you hadn't, or expressed a thought you might better have kept to yourself? If you're slowing it down, pondering a little bit before you speak, that person across from you, statistics say that 7 out of 10 times they're going to talk themselves into something they shouldn't. And if you use pause as a technique here, you can even enhance that. That's a very good takeaway. It really is. How about you won't say anything dumb? Abraham Lincoln. Better to remain silent and be thought of as a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. I love that. I love that phrase, and it's just very true. So if you don't talk, you aren't going to mess around and make the mistakes that you otherwise would. A person who's doing the talking will feel understood and cared about. So if you've sat there and listened to somebody for 10 or 15 minutes, they're going to walk away and tell somebody, hey, that Adam's a great guy. We were together for blah, 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 and he's just, you have no idea what Adam's about because you were doing all the talking, but you felt great.
Sure, it's some of the best conversations people have. They've been talking about themselves for a while, and it's very natural, especially for those more reserved folks, to kind of let people just talk and kind of let them go, and again,
let them go.
Let them get it off their chest, right?
It's a powerful relationship building tool, and especially powerful sales tool. You may gain inside information, okay? Very often the other person will jump in to fill the silence that we were just talking about, and further information is going to come that they never planned to share with you.
Sharing 1 minute, 1 minute.
And when you speak, when you do speak finally, people are going to listen. If somebody's been dominating the topic, there's 6, 7 of you, 3, 4 of you, however, and one person's been doing all the yapping and there's one quiet person just doing all the listening, finally that person talks, you're going to be heard. And if you're a leader especially, that could become a very, very important tool. You know, somebody who never shuts up, you stop listening to them, you stop hearing them. So those are some of the 7 smart reasons. I gave you 6 of them. And this is a subject that we'll pick up again on another day because it has tremendous application to your business, to the groups that you're dealing with. And we strongly recommend that you try to listen more than you talk.
Excellent. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. When we come back, we're going to talk about how to move on from the wrong hire. I'm Adam Sonnhalter.
And I'm Jim.